For most of us, when we think of a haunted house, the image that comes to mind is an old manor, full of faded grandeur. Over the decades, footage and photographs have emerged from these eerie buildings, which hint at haunted happenings, or the sense that somewhere in these long-abandoned halls, something lies in wait. Evidence that these blighted buildings harbor spirits from the beyond has proved elusive, until now. The modern world is full of cameras and smart technology, helping investigators and eyewitnesses record a wealth of new material, which they believe is evidence of paranormal activity. We've recruited an army of experts to scrutinize and analyze some of the most jaw-dropping reports from around the world.
Oh, holy.
No.
Is that a person?
Have we finally managed to explain the inexplicable? This is Paranormal Captured. Tonight, we examine the mystery lurking in the basement of a stately home in Manchester.
Antwerp Mansion is one of the scariest places they've been.
And investigate the disturbing reputation of a 16th century manor house.
There are so many layers of history here. There's bound to be some residual energy.
To help us sort real life from the afterlife, we'll turn to our panel of expert psychologists
I would love there to be concrete proof.
and some of the most experienced investigators from the paranormal world.
You want something to be there. The adrenaline's got to be pumping.
I want to separate fact from fiction.
All hoping to bear witness to the paranormal captured on camera.
Oh yeah, here we go.
The creak of a floorboard, the rattle of a window pane, the rocking of an empty chair. Historic houses the world over have evoked both fear and fascination for centuries. But capturing proof that long-departed residents are still stalking the halls of these opulent buildings is easier said than done. In the USA in 2017, at Tryon Palace, North Carolina, one couple achieved the seemingly impossible. Whilst on a guided tour of the stately home, they captured an image of what appears to be a figure in a mob cap and an apron. Could this be a ghostly servant still haunting the palace halls?
The image looks quite translucent. It really does look like a ghost. And that's exactly what, I would be excited about if I'd caught that on film, because I can't see a face.
With this particular couple, whether they were experiencing what is known as inattentional blindness. So they didn't notice this person going by when they were recording the footage. When they review the footage, they're like, oh my God, there is somebody there.
The human brain automatically says, must be the famous white lady that haunts this grand house. But no, for me, got to stay rational and look at it. Is it someone dressed up to do reenactments?
It looks like a maid. It's either someone in costume or, more likely, the blurred outline of something there looks like a maid.
For paranormal investigator MJ Dickson, the horrifying histories behind these mysterious mansions have long fueled her passion for all things otherworldly.
If you think about how many people have lived in those old manors over the centuries, you have laughter, you have sadness, you have births, you have deaths, you have all sorts of things that happen in these everyday lives of people. And all of those emotions just seep into those places.
MJ is not the only one to be drawn to these atmospheric buildings. Paranormal investigator Charlie Rutter has been exploring stately homes and manor houses for years. One of the most infamous is Antwerp Mansion in Manchester in the United Kingdom, which he visited back in 2016.
It was all about
dark entities, mysterious buildings, you know, that have been said there's negativity there. And this is what drawn us to Antwerp Mansion.
For decades, rumours have swirled around this sprawling building's Gothic history, and nowhere more so than in the dank and forbidding basement. Paranormal investigators claim that a malevolent entity may still be lurking here.
So I was on my long vigil, and as I come here, I got stopped in my tracks here, and I saw what was a big black mass, like a fuzzy top half, and it felt like it was just rushing me, and that was at that point I felt scared. I turned around and I just bolted straight up the stairs.
Wow.
You definitely see something at that point. Fear's really going.
Whatever it was, it didn't have a nice feeling, and it was an uneasy feeling, and it was like it was staring at me and as if it wanted to target me. And I felt this rush come on, and then I knew then that I had to leave, that almost like I didn't feel safe being down here on my own with whatever else was down here with me.
What I'm responding to is his emotional content, and he seems absolutely scared witless. So in terms of paranormal activity, I can't see where that's coming from, but I'm just going on his feelings.
He was really freaked out by whatever he saw there. By the speed that he was going up the stairs, freaked him out.
He panics and he wants to be out of there. His whole persona changes and he just wants to leave straight away. I genuinely do believe that he saw something to terrify him at that point.
Over 250 miles south lies another renowned residence, Whoring Manor in Portsmouth. This grand and imposing house was constructed in the 16th century by a Roman Catholic family. Physicist and paranormal investigator Jonathan Fost has been researching the annals of this ghostly manor for years.
The history is a very complicated one. It's changed hands so many times. There is the local parish vicar. He put 12 nuns into the vicarage and 12 young men into priesthood into this building, an ecclesiastical school, effectively.
Hardly surprising, the scandalous rumours about these cloistered youngsters started to spread. Upstairs, in the attic, some claim to have seen the ghost of a female novice, covered in blood.
It is said that this nun is some connection with the room, that some kind of surgical operation has occurred in, and that's why she's got blood on her hands. It's probably obviously a significant metaphor for something. Depending on who you talk to, various people have seen her in different places.
Given these persistent rumours, paranormal investigator MJ Dickson wants to explore Whoring Manor for herself. She's keen to capture proof of its creepy credentials, once and for all.
Welcome to the Great Hall of Whoring Manor.
My goodness, this place is beautiful. It's not what I expected at all.
So what were you imagining when you came in?
Quite a hostile, sort of haunted house feel.
People do think that. They see what it looks like from the outside, expecting the same sort of thing. This is the heart of the whole house. It's where everybody would come in, but there are parts of this house that have a very different feel.
Despite its opulent entrance, Whoring Manor is said to hold dark secrets, and nowhere more so than up in the atmospheric attic.
What do you feel in here?
A little uneasy, a little sick to my stomach.
It is an interesting space. Lots of reactions to people when they come in here. Don't take that as any evidence of what this room was potentially used for.
I feel a little shaky in here, just off.
It's claimed that the attic rooms were the location of amateur surgeries performed back in the 18th century.
I mean, even if there were these medical procedures that took place here, and even if some of them were really questionable, you know, that is still a traumatic event. So I get why people feel that kind of residual energy, that sickness, and especially ladies in this space. So Makes sense.
Legend has it that Whoring Manor may also be harbouring one spirit that isn't even human.
All sorts of weird stuff have been picked up on EVP, but dogs particularly. And in the priest room, we have picked up dog barking. There is supposed to be a spirit of a very aggressive male in the basement that lets his presence be felt. Very often people have reported seeing children, particularly on the staircase that leads up into the panelled room. And then there have been sightings of a black dog as well.
With centuries of stories surrounding this mysterious house, from phantom hounds to tormented nuns, MJ is keen to try and capture conclusive proof of their existence.
Whoring Manor is no other way to describe it but a typical old haunted house. It has so many ghost stories. It's got wonky stairs everywhere, the floors are uneven, the walls are uneven, and there are so many layers of history here that there's bound to be some residual energy.
As night falls on Whoring, will MJ capture proof of the paranormal in this manor house of horrors, once and for all? With their highly attuned senses, many animals can appear to feel the presence of something otherwise unseen. Are they simply skittish? Or could they be warning us that all is not quite as it seems? In January 2008, on Prince Edward Island in Canada, a man found his frightened pup cowering under his bed for no apparent reason, until a loud noise led him to investigate the attic.
The hell? Jesus Christ.
I wonder if it was poltergeist activity because everything was all over the place. And something tells me he doesn't keep his attic that way. But whatever it was really frightened the dog badly for it to have its tail between its legs like that.
For what reason was you filming in your house anyway at that point? Why did you have your camera with you to take it upstairs, set it up in the right place, at the right time? It looks like a bit of a setup to me.
But attics aren't the only place where things can go bump in the night. In the United Kingdom, at Antwerp Mansion in Manchester, Charlie Rutter's petrifying 2016 investigation started in the basement.
Who's down here?
But this terrifying house wasn't finished with him yet.
As I ran from the basement, I ran up here. I closed the door behind me, and you could hear it shut on a catch. And then obviously the rest of the guys were filming upstairs, and I sat down on what used to be a bench here. And then as I was recording, I panned to the left, and what I noticed was this door just swung open, come off its latch, opened up. I ran straight to it, and I come through.
Oh.
And I checked down here to see whether anybody was here. That, a person that, might have come through and opened the door, but there was nobody here, so I couldn't explain it.
It definitely came off the latch. You could hear that happen.
It clearly opens with some kind of force, which makes me believe that it's not a draft causing this.
He did the perfect thing he should have done, which is go in to see if he could debunk it if somebody was there. Really well done, Charlie.
Hello?
He's in a heightened state, probably pretty stressed out. And anything that occurs in that emotional state will equal something else that's bigger and scarier. And I think that's what we're witnessing.
To me, that was a feeling that whatever was downstairs that was targeting me had followed me upstairs and tried to follow me into there to possibly target me again.
Oh, there's no one here. At Whoring Manor in Portsmouth in the UK, stories and myths have swirled for decades, with people claiming to have seen the apparition of a blood-stained nun. But could something altogether more malevolent be lurking in the building's forbidding foundations? MJ Dickson is beginning her exploration in the basement, where previous investigators have reported the presence of a spirit known only as the Butcher.
It began with one of the investigators reporting that they'd seen a woman crying, sobbing on the floor, and that she was being attacked by a male. That was the first hint that we were picking up something different. Then various groups coming in, investigating, were picking out certain key words like butcher, leather apron, knife, killing, serial killer.
In an attempt to communicate with the alleged Butcher of Whoring, MJ has decided to start her investigation with a recording method known as electronic voice phenomena, or EVP.
We just got to keep in mind for the recorder that we can hear the rain outside. It's a really bad storm brewing out there. You obviously know the history of this place much better than I do. If you want to start asking first, and we'll bounce back and forth.
So, spirits, you might recognise my voice. I've been here many times before. So we come and want to speak to you again. Could you tell us your name?
How many people are down in this basement with us right now?
Do you remember working here?
Apparently, there is a gentleman down here that's quite scary. Do you know who he is? So I think let's play that back and see if we got anything on that.
How many people are down in this basement with us right now? Do you remember
Whoa. Oh my gosh. Does that say there's 14?
That's a very crowded basement.
I worked down here. That's insane.
That response that comes through is absolutely class A. And I hear clear as anything, I'm working. Which is really interesting because the other guy says, are you working? Wow. If I caught something like that, I'd be over the moon.
It sounds like we're getting a lot of feedback on the dictaphone, which MJ then interprets as, we work down here. It didn't really sound like that to me.
Once she said what she thought she heard, that seed was planted in my brain. So that's what I then heard, sort of. You got compelling story, circumstances, two people who are agreeing with one another.
Keen to see if she can elicit further responses and more definitive proof, MJ continues.
When we play this back, we can hear you, but you have to get really close to this device in my hand. So if I could ask you to step a little bit closer and speak a little bit louder, we might be able to clearly hear your answers.
It doesn't take long before something strange captures MJ and Jonathan's attention.
My flashlight keeps doing something weird.
Keeps going out.
Those are brand new batteries.
It's like something is draining the power from this area.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Which would make sense if it is really active down here. That's just a battery source for them.
Look, I've seen it happen many, many, many times on a paranormal investigation. I've had crew members witness it with camera batteries dying unexplainably, mobile phones draining. It's really interesting how it only seems to happen in these supposed haunted locations. What's going on?
It ties in with something paranormal happening in location because your brain's wired for that. So then you just tie it all in to fit the narrative of its spirit or something interfering with your battery. Still very intriguing anyway to have captured that.
In light of these developments, MJ decides to conduct an experiment using a REM pod, which reacts to static electricity. She also sets out 3 EVP recorders designed to create consistency across multiple devices in an attempt to pick up on any voices.
Hit record. This is a 3-recorder EVP experiment. I'm going to take a step back. Could you walk up to that, but I need you to shout really loud. Anyone that's down here with us, could you shout your name for us, please?
That was a bright flash.
For the recorder, that's us talking. I'd be very interested to know if you can drain all the power from that flashlight, make it go completely dark. Stopping recorders.
Take a step back. So, could you walk up the basement? This is a 3-recorder EVP experiment.
So we know there was us talking a little. That's more than we ever said. That's a full sentence. That has like proper tone to it. One more time. I can't make it black. That's what I'm hearing. I literally have goosebumps from head to toe right now. To be able to hear a full sentence, even if you can't make it out, but you can clearly hear it's a full sentence. So that's pretty cool.
That is amazing.
I didn't hear the full sentences that MJ was claiming that she was hearing. Could have been anything from clothing to more so boots, shoes and things like that. Remember, we're using very sensitive equipment here.
It's not a definitive response. All in all, I think she's on the right path with this one.
I couldn't hear what it said either, but you could tell it had the tone in it, which is really cool.
As a tempest builds around Whoring Manor, could paranormal forces use the storm's energy to make definitive contact with MJ?
Did you just tap me on the back?
Or will she be left out in the cold? As humans, when we examine evidence of possible paranormal activity, it can be all too easy to let our imaginations run away with us. But what does it mean when the heightened senses of a wild animal appear to respond in the same way? In Oregon, in the USA, this static game camera captured what appeared to be a strange apparition making its way through the forest one cold October night in 2020. Easy to dismiss as a trick of the light, until the lone deer seems to respond to the presence of something behind it.
Wow. I have no explanation for that. I have no idea what that could be. Paranormal, that's for sure. That's awesome.
So I wonder whether this deer is just responding as it would respond every night to a rustle in the trees. It's hard to say whether what we're seeing vaguely in the background and the deer's reaction are one of the same thing.
If you really study that, so you can see it's actually the reflection of the deer upside down in the lens. It's not a spirit. It's not.
Historic houses and mysterious manors the world over have played host to ghost stories, myths, and legends for centuries. An Antwerp mansion in Manchester in the UK is no exception. First built as a private home in 1842, it slowly fell into disrepair before becoming a grungy nightclub where wild raves were held. During one particularly terrifying investigation in 2016, investigator Emma Dorr experienced what she believes to be unmistakable paranormal activity.
I was downstairs in the back room, and to be fair, it was quite quiet in there. Quite a calm feeling, didn't feel uneasy at all. Can you come into this room, please? And then, halfway through the investigation, suddenly the temperature pod went off. Oh, what? Temperature pod.
I'm assuming that the temperature pod checks for drops or increases in temperature. I'd love to know when it goes off, how far up or down it has to be before it goes off, to know if that's significant or not.
We know that if you put some people in the room together, the temperature will eventually go up. But nighttime conditions as well, they are also going to go down. So nothing has really occurred there that I'm surprised at.
It's really interesting footage. Obviously, the temperature pod is picking up on some kind of temperature change there. Is it paranormal? Who knows?
It was a bit of a shock because it had been so quiet up to that point. But for us, it was fantastic evidence.
On a dark and stormy night at Whoring Manor, Portsmouth in the UK, investigator MJ Dickson is continuing to explore this formerly grand old building with a chilling reputation.
I literally have goosebumps from head to toe right now.
Having escaped the confines of the basement, MJ is continuing her investigation in the panel room. The former master bedroom in the southeast corner of the manor is steeped in myth and mystery, with visitors to the site claiming they have seen the phantom image of a woman in violet stood at the window.
The room makes you feel really off balance, and I could see how when people are doing a paranormal investigation or in that room in the dark, it will throw you off.
MJ is using a spirit box and what is known as the Estes method to try to tune into voices from the beyond.
Ready when you are.
As Jonathan poses questions, unable to see or hear, MJ tries to make out any intelligible responses coming from the white noise generated by the spirit box being pumped into her headphones.
So, spirits, we are here in the panel room of Whoring Manor. We're trying to find out who might be standing in that window and it has been viewed by so many people.
Somebody just said here.
So here by the window, that's good news. What we want to know is, are you a male spirit that stands by the window?
I just heard a male voice, but I couldn't make out what it said.
That's a really interesting start. She's picking up on a male voice, which kind of backs up what's going on there and what he's saying.
What I just saw there was MJ say, somebody just said here. He then goes on to say, here by the window, that's good news. Explain that to me. He is literally just built on a narrative based on one word.
It's amazing to see that Jonathan is asking these questions and MJ's responding with the correct answers.
Tap her on the shoulder and let her know. Or maybe whisper.
Somebody just said 3.
3.
And shh. Somebody shushed me.
Oh, wow.
So let's assume we are talking 3 different spirits are in this room and they appear in the window at different times. Could you try and tell me your name?
It said talk. That actually gave me a fright.
Could you let me know your name?
It said ask.
Does the first letter of your name start with a letter A to M.
I've just gone ice cold, really, really cold all the way around my legs.
Does your name start with a letter N to Z?
Somebody just said it sounded like the Jack, but it was a very deep male voice.
That's the way you would normally do it, where you'd start them through the alphabet so that you could narrow it down. But he just went right to his name, which is really, really cool.
But another way of looking at it is I've got 26 letters to choose from. It doesn't matter if it's Jack. It could be Michael. It could be Beatrice. It could be Zebediah. And they'd all be correct.
Oh my goodness.
You okay?
Apologies if I was shouting because I can't hear anything. Did any of that make sense?
So one of the first things was I was trying to identify who might be standing at the window, and it did say 3. So just as I was trying to identify whether it was a male or female energy here, you piped in with Jack.
It was 2 very different voices. One was quite deep and it kind of caught me off guard, where the other one was quite a higher pitch. And it was both very clear. So it tells me that there's more than one person trying to communicate in this room.
Operating on the basis that there may be multiple spirits in the panel room, MJ decides to conduct another EVP session. She starts by asking questions about the strange experiences previously documented in this room.
I've heard stories that people feel these unseen hands touching them in this room, maybe grabbing them on the shoulder. Have you been trying to get somebody's attention for quite some time?
Why have they got dolls in the room? That's just wrong.
Before I fetch the recorder, if there's anything you would like to share with us, we're here to figure out who you are and what your story is. Please feel free to say it now. What was that? Does that sound like a dog barking at the end of that?
Oh.
No.
That's a dog barking.
Yeah, I can't hear a dog. It ties in with the stories of the location, so you're backing up stories there with pieces of equipment, so it's interesting.
Are they weighing that up to their knowledge of someone previously saying they heard a dog barking? It sounded more like a shuffling to me, but they're saying it was a dog barking.
MJ decides to finish the night with a lone vigil in the attic. Outside, the wind is howling around this manor house of horrors. What else might the storm stir up before the night is done?
Things keep moving.
Capturing footage of unidentified aerial phenomena was once a rare occurrence. But with so many of us now owning high-quality phone cameras, the chances of spotting and recording a UAP are ever increasing. In the USA, in the sleepy town of Tomball, Texas, this strange footage was captured in 2018 by a couple on their way home from dinner.
There goes one. Now they're back to 2 lights. Doop, there it goes. There goes one. Boom. All 3.
What is that?
All I can think of is possibly drones. I've seen drones do light shows before. I don't know, but that was a UFO, unexplained flying object. No idea.
I would have to say that this is down to these Chinese lanterns. Probably someone was celebrating a birthday and they were 3 years old.
I'm a huge believer that we are not alone out there. I'm also a believer that there are secret military projects going on, but that's interesting footage.
What is that?
For centuries, mysterious manor houses have captured our imaginations. But could their fading facades really contain the spirits of long-dead residents? In Portsmouth, in the UK, MJ Dickson is searching for proof. She's investigating the notorious Whoring Manor. She's already encountered strange noises in the manor's dank basement.
That's insane.
And historic bedrooms.
Does that sound like a dog barking at the end of that?
Now physicist and investigator Jonathan Fost has left the building. MJ will conduct her final vigil entirely alone. She's heading up to the manor's attic, rumoured to have been the site of grisly amateur surgeries in the distant past.
The most active of all the places at the moment is going to be the attic space, so that's not a place I would like to be after dark on my own. So I have a lot of sympathy for her. She's feeling nervous at the moment, so I'll be fascinated to know what happens and what she captures by the end of the evening.
After placing infrared cameras in the attic, the crew have left MJ on her own.
Okay, let's get set up here. This space has a very, very creepy feeling. I'm just gonna grab this camera really quickly.
With the last camera set, MJ begins her final vigil.
I'm gonna try an EVP experiment. So what I'm gonna do is take a recorder and take a two-way radio. So I have one of these here. I'm gonna put this in the room across the hallway. Hi, I'm coming in. Oh, there's something banging. Oh, this is not creepy at all. This is the space where they see shadows and they kind of hear people and things moving. It's horrible up here, man.
Got some creepy rooms in this place, aren't they?
I am not enjoying being here alone, I can tell you that. All right, two-way radio is ready. I am so nervous. Let's get a recorder out. Things keep moving. Hit record on this. So this is recording. I am gonna... Man! That is... That's so creepy. I'm gonna head back and ask some questions over the two-way radio, see what happens.
She's brave, I'll give her that.
That is now recording. I'm gonna put this radio on. Could you tell me your name, please? Man, that wind is howling. How old are you? Okay, that is really weird. I've just felt somebody tap me on the back, in the middle of my back.
Nope, I'll be out.
Did you just tap me on the back? It felt like a kid tapping me in the middle of my back. I'm a little creeped out. I'm not even leaning against the back of the chair.
I love that she's creeped out, but she's so calm about it. That just poised under pressure. Love that.
It's a proper creepy upstairs attic type place with dolls. The fact that she's felt something touch her on the back, I'd be out of there. So credit to her for staying.
If you do feel that, straight away you're going to put it to some sort of spirit or entity interacting with you. It may not necessarily be that, but you're already wired to feel that something's there behind you.
Okay, I'm gonna go get that recorder. I'm coming to fetch the recorder now. If there's anything you'd like to say, please do it now.
But after retrieving the EVP device from the other side of the attic, MJ makes a disturbing discovery.
I just hit record, and it's not recorded anything. It just stopped the recording. I don't quite understand what happened. The only way is if somebody stopped it.
I mean, I'm not saying that a spirit interacted with the recorder. That's a bit weird.
How sure is she that she actually pressed record?
My thinking is that something turned off that recorder because it didn't want to talk to her.
This entire attic space is just so horrible. It has a really different vibe.
Unnerved by the eerie atmosphere in the attic, MJ decides to call it a night and head back downstairs.
I've just finished my lone vigil, and I still feel really shaky. And sitting up there alone is, in one word, just creepy. I think the highlight of this investigation for me was down in the basement. That's insane. And it's almost as though the spirits of Whoring Manor are talking about you. They're talking amongst themselves, and you happen to capture just a little glimpse of that on the recording. I definitely want to come back to this location.
It's dark, it's creepy, it's creaky. There is a story that goes alongside this. That's kind of why we like ghost stories, because we can viscerally feel different and you can get that heightened state of emotion. And I can see why MJ would feel that way.
I think this location is definitely promising. You know, it has all the stories behind it, and you've seen a glimpse in this investigation of what can manifest there.
You know, I came here expecting to answer some of the questions that people have or debunk some of the experiences. I'm walking away from this investigation with so many more questions.
From Whoring Manor to Antwerp Mansion, behind the faded grandeur of these historic houses lurks a dark secret. Can definitive evidence of the paranormal ever truly be caught on camera? Or will the crumbling facades of these ancient edifices continue to conceal the secrets that lie within?
I've just felt somebody tap me on the back.
The search continues.
That's a dog barking.